Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of Intuitive Angling, and thanks a lot for taking some time to check the video out. And guys, we're going to be talking about what I consider the #1 September lure for catching bass, especially quality bass in this video. And I think you guys will find it interesting. I'm going to give you guys some good tips and advice that probably help you out this month. Before we get started, guys, I just want to remind you, since we are getting into September, getting into the fall months already, I can't believe it. Please check out our fall lake map breakdowns at fishthemoment.com. I'll put the link in the description here if you guys want to check those out. These are lake map breakdowns that I build for Fish the Moment. Just a great way to find out more about your favorite lake, or if you've never been to lake, gives you some good places. And if you don't have the lake if the lake you fish is not on our website, you can also book a virtual lesson with me, and we can go over it one-on-one on a Zoom call, get you some good spots lined out. So link in the description, much appreciated. Okay guys, we've been talking heavily the last month about August and September fishing because they're sort of like, they're connected to the same degree a lot, because a lot of the techniques that work in August also work in September. You don't start seeing a significant change in bass movement, behavior, and technique until you get in really to October, when you have some significantly cooler nights, shorter days, and cooler water temperatures. But September, guys, is still a tough month. August. I've always said that, August and September are the two toughest months to catch fish. And we've been talking a lot about the techniques, but today, guys, I want to talk about what I think is the best September lure to catch fish on, really regardless where you're fishing. This works one end of the country or the other. And I'm going to show you what it is. We're going to get into it, and that is the old reliable buzzer. Guys, we've talked about this before. We've talked a lot about buzz baits. This, in my opinion, is the most consistent bass producer in the month of September. Not just early in the morning or late in the evening, all day long. Something about September, when September rolls around, that's when they start biting the topwater all day long, and it's hard to beat a buzz bait. And it really surprises me that a buzzer is still as productive as they are, because these things have been around since the early to mid 1970s. And they telegraph themselves. A buzz bait is a very noisy lure. They sound the same now, basically, as what they sounded 50 years ago. I've always thought the bass would get conditioned to sound, but for whatever reason, there's something about the noise and the profile and the presence of a buzz bait that bass just like, and they don't get conditioned to it very well. A couple different things I'm going to talk about September buzz baits. Size is important too, guys. My favorite is this Megabass Jamaican Boa buzzer. I throw it in two different colors. I throw the black and I throw the white also. Really let the conditions and water clarity dictate what I'm throwing. If I'm fishing a little bit cleaner water, like say for the water visibility is over 2.5 feet, and specifically early in the morning, late in the evening, cloudy days, rainy days, low light days, I definitely like the black. The black, it's sort of like a paradox, but black works better on a buzzer in clear water than a white does. Now, translucent skirt's a little different. If you've got a translucent shad skirt, that can work in a brighter day, but for whatever reason, in the month of September, it's black or white, one of the two that I'm using. And the other days, it's like if the water visibility is a little bit more stained, and if I got brighter light conditions, say for example, it's partly cloudy or sunny or something like that, I get a lot more bites on the white. It's something they can see a white a little bit better in that off-colored water, and the black tends to blend in. And also the Jamaican Boa, it's a big buzz bait, guys. This is a large lure. It's got a big blade on it. It really puts out a lot of commotion, and it draws those fish that are not real aggressive to come up and hammer this thing. So anyway, Jamaican Boa is my #1 favorite lure. Got to stay with the large size. I don't catch many fish on a buzzer on like a smaller 1/4 ounce or 3/8 or something like that. Next thing, let's talk a little bit about the areas that you need to fish it in. One of the things you're going to find out about September bass that are shallow is they are extremely scattered. And a lot of times you simply cannot pattern the fish as far as looking at a bank or looking at a piece of cover and saying there's going to be a fish on there. One of the reoccurrence of, or the reproducible things that I have seen about September fishing on a buzz bait is you simply have to put the trolling motor down and just cover water. A lot of times what I'll do is, like say for example, I pull into a cove. I'll start on the point and I'll fish the point. I'll work all the way back. I'll fish the first 2/3 of the cove, midway of the cove, the back end of the cove, and I'll come out the other side out onto the main lake. Sometimes I'll even go on a main lake bank, a bluffy bank, flat bank, it doesn't matter. The key is covering water and not necessarily fishing fast, but fishing at a good pace. I'm throwing it out there usually on a long rod. I like that 7-foot 11-inch Megabass launcher, usually fishing it on 30 to 40 pound test Seaguar smackdown braided line, and just putting that trolling motor on about 4 or 5 and just going with it. That is the key right there. It's like the more casts that you can make on a buzzer, the better chances you have to catch one up there. Now, again, a lot of it is dependent upon the lake that you're fishing. I mean, every lake has characteristics and cover and structure unique to itself. But if you're fishing a typical man-made impoundment, that is what you're gonna find. If you're fishing other lakes, say for example, you're keying in on grass edges and stuff like that, then it won't apply as much. You can't get off the grass and just get on a nothing looking bank on a grass lake and catch very many fish. If you're fishing a grass lake with a buzzer, you need to be fishing around the grass. But other than that, man-made impoundments that have typical mixed rock bank, shallow wood cover, shallow cover like that, they can be literally anywhere with it. Now, another thing that I found out about a buzzer in September, most people on a buzz bait, they look specifically for stained off colored water. I haven't found that to be true. And a matter of fact, the best buzz bait fishing that I usually experience in September is on the lower end of the lake. Usually anywhere from the dam to maybe 5 miles up the lake, something like that. And traditionally or typically, this is the clear water parts of the lake. Now, again, it could have something to do with the fish react to it better in a little bit cleaner water. Maybe there's more perch or bluegill up on the banks that time of year in the clean water. I'm not really sure, but I don't do near as good if I go up like into the river part of the lake or the creek extremities and throw that buzzer in September. I don't do near as good as I do in the shallow water with it. Conditions, as far as, we just talked about that, but the wind also plays a key role in it. The best fishing you're going to have on a buzzer in September is you need a little bit of wind to break the chop up, just to put a little chop on the water. I mean, if you get in the back of coves, a lot of times you're not going to have much chop, but you're going to find the best buzzbait fishing if you got just a little chop, maybe like a little 1/4 to 1/2 inch chop or something like that. It just sort of creates a little bit more cover with that surface being broke up a little bit. Seem to get more bites with it. And finally, guys, fish your buzzbait with a stop and go retrieve, usually some type of a medium fast stop and go retrieve. Don't just throw it out there and reel it straight in. Throw it out there and reel it and stop it, reel it and stop it, keeping your rod tip high. And I don't like using a trailer hook unless I have to. I get a lot more bites on a buzzbait if I don't have a trailer. And with this Jamaican boa, since it's got a long shank on it and the skirt sets back, the hook sets back so far on it, a lot of times you can get by without a trailer hook. And I don't ever use a trailer on a buzzbait. I always use a skirt on it. A lot of guys like the horny toad and the plastic frogs. I have not seen it produce better. I prefer a skirt because it just seems like the color is a little bit more natural in the water. So anyway, guys, just a few buzzbait tips. Tie one on, just chunk it all day long. You'll get some good bites on it, and I hope it helps you guys out. We'll see you.